So it looks like Teresa's boyfriend, Louis, is back in the news for allegedly pushing his ex-wife into a pole after denying any sort of physical violence during the most recent Real Housewives of New Jersey reunion. Welcome back to the Kempire Daily YouTube channel, where you get daily and consistent hot topics in music, entertainment, reality TV, and so much more. As always, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on breaking news when we go live or when we upload. So it was just yesterday that we were talking about the Real Housewives of New Jersey, Teresa and Caroline Manzo. If you missed that video, be sure to check that out, because Caroline Manzo would like to return to set the record straight, but more so to set Teresa, the bully, straight. Well, as you also know, the ladies of the Real Housewives of New Jersey are gearing up for the new season. They are already in pre-production and should be starting to film very soon. Frank Catania recently confirmed the demotion of Jackie. As I said to you before, I believe Jackie is taking this time to really work on her health. I think this was a conversation between her and production. This is just me speculating. This is not me confirming anything from a source. That's just how I feel. I don't see a reason to demote Jackie, but some of you do. I'm neither here nor there when it comes to Jackie returning. I like her. I think she's a real housewife. I think she has the potential to do a lot more. She was one of the only people to have a real storyline this season besides Teresa and Jennifer. So if you're going to bring Black Dolores back and with no storyline, you should bring Jackie back with a full storyline. All that being said, Teresa, one of the biggest storylines for Teresa this season was her fiance, Louis. As you know, Louis has had all kinds of different accusations throughout the season. A lot of the accusations are ones that we didn't cover because, honestly, the things that they covered on the show really were soft in comparison to the real accusations of things that he was being accused of by his toxic exes. So in the most recent Real Housewives of New Jersey reunion, he was questioned about domestic violence and allegedly hitting a girlfriend, wife, or whatever it may be, at the time they didn't confirm, in front of children. Well, he denied it during the reunion. Before we get into it, let's just hear exactly what Louis said. I don't want to put words in his mouth.
What?
Is there a domestic violence record against you?
Two incidents have come up recently, and those were arguments with my wife over my children when we were getting divorced. If I'm the only guy in America that basically had arguments with his wife and she walks in the house and calls the police, you know, that's the extent of it.
Did you hit her?
No.
No.
So as you heard, he denied hitting his ex-wife, Marisa DiMartino. Well, now Page 6 has discovered the police report. Let's get into what Page 6 is reporting, because I like to be accurate with what I'm reporting, especially when it comes to this Louis situation. As you know, before Louis was even on the show and we found out about him, the exes were in the DMs. Okay, not the exact exes. They're friends of a friend, whatever. But as I said to you before, this was just the tip of the iceberg that we saw on the Real Housewives of New Jersey. And I, like many of you, want Teresa to be happy. However, it just seemed interesting, the timing of this relationship, especially because Dr. David's dating his ex, the one that he was dating when he met Teresa and allegedly dropped her for Teresa. So Page 6 reports this. This is Teresa's fiance, Louis, allegedly pushed his ex-wife, Marisa DiMartino, into a metal pole during a, quote, heated argument back in 2012. And this is according to a police report exclusively obtained by Page 6. They say, DiMartino reported that after her estranged husband dropped off the children, the two began to argue over finances. The dispute became heated and culminated with Ruelas pushing DiMartino into a metal pole in the garage. The report was filed on October 5th of 2012, one day after the alleged incident. Continues, this action took place in the presence of the couple's son. DiMartino refused medical attention and was adamant that she did not wish to sign a charge. So for those of you that also, why didn't they press charges? What happened? Well, his then wife decided not to press charges. According to Page 6, it says, since DiMartino declined to press charges against Ruelas, now 48, no arrest was made for the suspected harassment offense. The alleged incident took place in Orangetown, New York, where the former couple, who shared 2 teenage sons, Louis Jr. and Nicholas, who we've seen on The Real Housewives of New Jersey, lived before divorcing a decade ago. On New Year's Eve of 2010, before they legally dissolved their marriage, DiMartino filed a separate police report. So there's 2 police reports here, y'all. Also obtained by Page 6, claiming she and Ruelas had a, quote, verbal dispute that caused her to leave their family home. DiMartino states she had a verbal dispute with Ruelas, her husband. DiMartino states they are going through a divorce and Ruelas came to the house and got into an argument with her. DiMartino left the residence. Again, DiMartino declined to press charges and no arrest was made. So Page 6 continues. There's a 3rd police report. There are all kinds of red flags around this guy. And look, I'm not saying that people can't grow and change in the last 10 years, but for all the girlfriends in between that marriage and his multiple engagements, and now Teresa, he's changed that much. So Page 6 continues, and they say Ruelas and DiMartino's relationship seemingly made no improvements when they eventually transitioned from spouses to co-parents. According to a 3rd police report obtained by Page 6, DiMartino claims that Ruelas, quote, shouted names at her in front of their children during a custody exchange on June 6 of 2016. In the report, it says, my ex-husband came to pick up my son at approximately 6. He wanted to exchange words and I did not want to come to the door. He continued ringing and banging on the door till I opened, scaring my other son upstairs. She continued, at drop-off, he shouted names in front of both children as he sped off with second son, who he claims wants to live with him. I wonder if that's the same son that's currently living with him and Teresa. In the same report, DiMartino claimed Ruelas was abusive. Asked whether Ruelas ever, quote, threatened to kill her or their children, DiMartino checked a box for yes. The report shows that she also checked yes for the following question. Has the physical violence increased in frequency or severity over the years? DiMartino also checked yes when asked whether Ruelas had been violently and constantly jealous of her. She denied he ever, quote, strangled or choked her or had beaten her while she was pregnant. The police report urged officers of the Orangetown Police Department to refer DiMartino to the New York State Domestic and Sexual Violence Hotline if she answered yes to any of the questions. It's unclear whether she established contact with that hotline. Page 6 continues, it says, despite her aforementioned claims, DiMartino answered no when asked whether there was a reasonable cause to suspect a child may be the victim of abuse, neglect, mistreatment, or endangerment. Again, no charges were pressed in response to the alleged incident and no arrest was made. So according to a source that spoke to Page 6, they said in regards to the current status of Louis and Marisa's relationship as co-parents, they said despite going through a divorce several years ago, Louis and Marisa are in a very good place and are both very actively involved in with one another in co-parenting their 2 boys. Marisa has met Teresa as Joe Giudice has met Louis. Everyone gets along. That's the real story here. No, the real story is these police reports. Look, I believe what the woman said in the moment. 3 separate police reports. 3 separate police reports from his then wife. Look, as I said to you before, I believe people can grow and change, but so many red flags. Look, the red flags are slapping us in the face. The red flags have slapped him so much in the face that he's so red. Sorry, I had to. I saw this report last night. I had to we don't have any Real Housewives of New Jersey to talk about. So, of course, a story comes up just in time for the new season of The Real Housewives of New Jersey. Do I believe that this is interesting timing? Of course it is. Teresa, I hope that for your sake, that it is a new, different type of situation because he is now living with Teresa and her 4 girls. Young girls. But I do believe Gia ain't going down like that. She is her father's daughter. Guys, as always, I want to know your thoughts on the latest report when it comes to Louis Ruelas and Teresa Giudice. Let's continue that conversation below. And as always, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on breaking news when we go live or when we upload. Thanks for watching.